my dad played music.
Okay.
And so he was always playing like folk guitar, and he wrote some of his own songs, learning all these songs from the 70s and 60s and being driven around the car with my mom in the minivan, you know, and 60s and 70s radio on. Yeah. I was just absorbing it.
I write the songs that make the whole world sing.
Welcome back to Songwriters Showcase. I'm your host, TJ Moss, and today I am joined by Justin Froese. Justin, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
You look good.
Thank you.
Loving the linen.
Thank
loving
you.
the vibe. It's light. It's airy. It's summer.
It's summer.
That's what we're doing here.
It's light. It's got to change it up.
So tell me, let's just get right into it. Who's Justin Froese? Where are you from? What's your story? What's your backstory?
Totally, yeah. So I'm from Encinitas. And
Originally?
I mean, born in Redondo Beach 3 months later.
Okay, SoCal.
SoCal. Yeah, SoCal. And yeah, grew up around here, just, you know, surfing, being a little punk. And my dad played music.
Okay.
And so he was always playing like folk guitar, and he wrote some of his own songs. So some of my earliest memories are just like taking that in and listening and hearing, learning all these songs from the 70s and 60s and hearing his songs too and going, oh, you can write songs. I'm going to do that. So at like about age 6, I was just like, give me that guitar. Give it to me.
Age 6?
Yeah, bro.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, I guess if you
You
think
didn't
about
have
it,
YouTube. You just,
I had him.
You had
if you're
Dad.
seeing it all the time and you're feeling it, you're like, okay,
I want that.
give me that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, from 6 to 10, I just was playing on my own, making up little ditties, writing songs. I still have this binder of these songs I wrote that are just like awesome and kind of hopelessly romantic and just
Perfect.
everything, you know?
Classic 10-year-old love story.
Right? Just like working out my emotions. And then I got lessons. I remember at this music shop, you know, I was getting electric lessons. He would come and pick me up. And on the way out, we like looked at the bulletin board and saw this flyer for this guy doing a classical guitar recital. And I was looking at it, and he was looking at me. He's like, do you want to go see that? I'm like, yeah. And so once I experienced that fingerstyle guitar and just the intricacy, like the mini orchestra that the guitar becomes, I was like, I want to do that. So I started in on 10 years of classical guitar.
Wow.
We call it classical guitar. It's really fingerstyle. Classical is like a genre, but it includes Celtic, Spanish, flamenco. And so I feel like I learned like harmony, melody, bass, accompaniment, dynamics, all this stuff in my hands first. I was singing, but it was very shy. And then as a teenager, I was just screaming and yelling. And so I feel like I didn't really become a singer until I went to college, got a BA in music, how obvious, and sang in the choir. And I felt like I discovered my voice in singing with other people.
Sure.
Which was powerful. And people kept encouraging me, like, you should record, you should make music, you should sing. And it took like 4 years of encouragement until I finally did it. And so in my early 20s, I made my first singer-songwriter album. But before that, in my teens, I played in country bands, jazz bands, rockabilly, pop rock, classical.
And you were primarily just like the guitar player, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just a hired gun.
I was just bopping into things. I was the front man for a lot of those groups too.
But screaming and just kind of.
Yeah, I like wouldn't consider myself a singer really.
Yeah.
It's weird because I was just doing it, which is kind of innocent in a way,
Sure.
you know?
Were you writing songs for those bands as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was writing like everything from sort of math rock, prog rock, you know, counting to 7 and then 11 and all that stuff. Classical guitar pieces to jazzy stuff, folky stuff. I think, you know, my dad exposed me to a lot, but really being driven around the car with my mom in the minivan, you know, and 60s and 70s radio on. I was just absorbing it, right, passively.
The masters at work and just learning through that osmosis.
Yeah. And over, and I loved world music, so I'd always be exploring Indian ragas and flamenco and all sorts of African music, and so I feel like that all has funneled into who I am today as a musician and an artist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's very eclectic.
Very.
And very well-rounded, I would say. From 10-year-old little Justin writing songs and ballads to Indian ragas. I mean, wow, it's all over the place.
Totally.
So how would you describe like what you're doing right now? Is it straight singer-songwriter, like your song style that you continue, or are you still evolving?
I want to say yes and yes, you know, and that's as a lover of music And just anything with a groove, which is like a rhythm that moves you, or with a great melody, like something that just like pulls you with it wherever it goes. It's not so genre specific what I love, right? It's like when those elements are present in anything. But being so diverse and exploring, eventually I did kind of have a artistic crisis, you know? Who am I? What am I? Like, I'm all over the place. Like,
Right.
and making peace with that and being like, that's me, but also being like, yeah, but who am I? Really wanted to have an answer for that. And so I think at this point, I would say, you know, what I do with music is songwriting based. It's about a story, and the music serves the story and like the emotional truth that's coming through in that. And so the styles that happens in, I'd say predominantly are like Americana. So rootsy, which is funny given all my intricate, crazy classical stuff.
Right.
Now I'm all about a good strummed chord, you know?
Yeah.
But pop, what is pop? Popular. So it feels familiar, right? So I love it when my melodies are catchy, memorable, right? And then rock in a sense that I like to be dynamic and have an edge and move a lot of air, you know?
Get the booty shaking.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the foot stomping. But also like bring it down to like a kind of campfire vibe. So how's that for clear?
This and that. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and so you play with the band sometimes. I know you played the Belly Up, I think the last time was back in April. Is that correct?
Yeah, March. Yeah.
March. Okay.
Yep.
So you have a group of guys that you play with,
Yep.
or and they're pretty like much like your guys, or that kind of
Yes.
changes here and there.
It's fluid,
Yeah.
and I've kept it that way because in my journey, I've lived a few different places. You know, I moved to LA and kind of did that for a while, met a bunch of guys, played with them. A few wouldn't be available, so I'd have to find others.
Sure.
And pretty soon I was like, okay, you got to keep a rotating cast of
Yeah, yeah,
characters
yeah,
here.
yeah.
And then lived in Seattle for 3 years. Same thing there, playing with a lot of different players, or players being like, I want to play with you, and just kind of being like, okay, let's try it out, right? And learning what I liked, what I wanted in each part, drums, bass, keys, guitars. And then I lived in Austin and Colorado. And so eventually I just had these little communities of players. So I would go from town to town, send them the tracks and charts in advance. We'd rehearse once, do a show.
Nice.
Which I heard is like the Chuck Berry way.
Oh, the Chuck Berry way.
I think so.
That's a pretty good way to do it, I'd say. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you have a new single coming out.
Yeah.
Now, did you record this? Like, did you engineer this? Or did you go into a studio? Or
Yeah, so the recording journey for me began early as well. My dad had a Sears reel-to-reel half-inch tape recorder.
Sweet.
That was his, like in college, and recorded on. So I was like, give me that. There's a theme here.
Yeah.
You know, and I started experimenting with that, and then 4-track cassette tape recording.
the Tascam?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Fostech.
Fostech.
Yeah.
Oh man, let's go.
Totally.
My dad had that as well.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then learning about that and balancing and bouncing and all this stuff, and then mini disc, and then eventually Mini disc. I did that for
Dude,
a
that was
second.
really high quality.
Right?
Like that was the Betamax or
Exactly. And that was a stepping stone to pure digital recording.
Yeah, totally.
So then, you know, with the DAW and Pro Tools and
Yeah.
eventually. And so I love that world of creating where you layer sounds and you move them around, you shape them. It really felt like marble and chiseling. And so I wound up recording a lot of my high school bands, other people bands, and then my own stuff, and producing other artists. And for a while I had this sort of like ping pong thing. I would produce a bunch of people and then go, I want to work on my stuff.
Right.
And then I'm just working on my stuff. And
It's like
then
a
it'd be
pendulum, right?
Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm sick of that. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, back to this. And so I learned to do everything myself: engineer, mix, master, produce. But eventually that became overwhelming
Yeah.
and challenging because I was in a vacuum and I was in my own loop, and I didn't have the perspective. And so that's where like my perfectionism,
Oh.
right? My like, am I good enough? Am I worth it? What is good enough? And can I even tell?
Right.
And it's like that kind of question, like value. It's like, I don't know. It's weird. It seems like we have to answer it individually, but it also gets answered in community and
Sure.
connection. And so I had to find that balance. It was clear I was becoming like a block to myself, to how much I could get done and how good it could be as well. And some of that was control. You know, it was like, well, I could have other people do it, but if they don't do it how I want to, I don't know how to communicate that to
Right.
them. And then I'm stuck with it, and then I'm resentful, and then I just shelve the project, you know? Coming through that and just working with other people, letting them in, letting them contribute, I was like, wow, this is like way better than I could have done on my own. And so now I feel like I'm like just so beautifully woven into a tapestry of community and people where together we're making something and I'm contributing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you learn the language of people, right? They learn the language of you, and then you can start to communicate the things that you actually want to accomplish, because music is such a fluid thing, right? It's hard to, it's hard to describe what's in your head.
Oh,
right?
man. Yeah. And then you think you know what you want. And it's not that you're wrong, but you have to follow that through, convey it, help other people catch the vision. And then as it's caught, it evolves. And I always believe, just like a song, it shows you what it wants to be. But you sort of have to lean into it, move into it, and then listen and go, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What wants to happen? And so there's some surrender there for sure. And so now, I work primarily I have a co-writing and co-producer partner. His name is actually Justin also.
Awesome.
Justin Bush.
Justins.
Yep. Double Justins. And then we have a few mixers and a few mastering guys, and then a whole group of musicians that work remote that play with like Kenny Chesney and Shakira that we just send our tracks to, and they record and send back. You got to pick the right order in which to do that. But I found that excellent musicians that for a living interpret songs, their instincts, that's what you want on a record. You want like, how would they turn this corner from this chord to that chord? And so that's been a stunning process to almost see my songs come to even greater life than I could have imagined.
Oh, I love that. Turn the corner from chord to chord. That's great.
Right?
Yeah.
I just made that up.
Yeah, it's
It just
really
came
nice.
out. You know how it goes.
Because like it's sort of like, how you going to get from there to there? Like everybody's different, you know?
Yeah.
Drifting into that corner. Like
Right.
everybody's thinking
Takes
about
the turn tighter
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So what's the song called, and when can we expect it?
Yeah, so this next single coming out from me, I think it's going to come out late September, early October, and it's called Slowly.
Slowly. I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a vibe.
It is a big time vibe.
Let's do it.
It's what I would call my genre now that I'm leaning into. It's like I could do a lot of different things, but where I want to lean into this genre is called cinematic pop.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's popular, feels familiar, it's accessible, but it's cinematic, it's dynamic. It's like a dynamic journey.
Cool.
Lows and highs. So
Awesome.
this one has strings in it, guitar, drums, bass, horns. It's, yeah.
Slowly.
Yeah.
We'll look for that September.
Yeah, late September.
Late September.
Yeah, on some Friday.
Okay. On some Friday.
Yeah, you know how we do.
Oh, looking forward to that. So we have Justin Froese, who is going to grace us with a song, and this song is called The Earth Below.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about it, or you just want to play it?
Sure. I wrote this song with a collaborator buddy of mine, Justin Bush, and we were up in Topanga Canyon. Yeah. And we're just taking in the natural beauty, and we both felt like this canyon like had just a really palpable essence, like this embrace. And so it started to like inspire this idea of a relationship where the two people support each other. You know, one is like the foundation and one is the sky or the river, and it just came through, and love this song.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Cool.
If you look closely, beside you in the darkness, it's your one and only, all you ever wanted. Lift you from the shadows while you shine. I'll strike the match, you start the fire. You could be the river, run through the canyon, and I'll be the earth below. You could be the night sky, the stars above, and I'll be the earth below. listen closely, lean into the silence, the sounds you're hearing. A melody is timeless, there's two hearts melting into one. The rising moon to the setting sun. You could be the river, run through the canyon, and I'll be the earth below. You could be the night sky, the stars above, and I'll be the earth below. Be the earth below. Take my hand when the water's rising, winds are flying. This romance, there's no denying. You can be the river running through the canyon, and I'll be the earth below. You can be the night sky, the stars above. Oh, and I'll be the earth below. And I'll be the earth below. I'll be the earth below.
That was beautiful, man. I was there. I was right with you.
Thank you.
Canyon.
Thanks, man.
Tell me about that A major out of there.
Ooh, on the bridge.
Whoa! I did not expect that.
Right?
Whoa, where did that come from? That's like,
Yeah, how did
because
that?
is that a modulation?
Yeah.
I mean, are we just straight up? But then you went right back down. Really cool.
Yeah, so it's like A is not in the key of G,
Certainly not.
but the chord that follows it, C is.
Yeah.
So it's like a modulation, but not
It's
too
like
much.
Yeah, you didn't go. You stuck your toes in the water.
Yeah.
And then you gonna okay. I'm
So
gonna
for
go
like
back.
this like lift, right? Yeah.
Really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks, man.
Also, where can the folks? I know, just type in your name on the Google machine, but like, where you're primarily at? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so most of what I'm sharing of my journey is on Instagram right now.
IG.
Yeah, IG. And so it's Justin Froese. So Froese or Froese, if that helps you
Froese.
remember.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Justin Froese, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, TJ.
It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm really enjoying
Likewise.
what's going on. So looking forward
Thanks,
to
man.
hearing Slowly.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next time.